Thank you. I'll pay tomorrow.
That was fast.
Yeah.
That was fast.
Yes, I can be fast.
That was good.
Thank you so much.
Of course. No, yeah. You gotta go to Costco, $10, you got this giant thing of cleaning stuff.
Really?
Water, it's not like that.
Sorry.
We're just waiting for the live stream to kick. Shabbat Shalom. And welcome to Congregation Adas Emuno. A special welcome this morning to Nicholas, Nick, Nikki, Nico, who we're celebrating his bar mitzvah this morning. And we do want to welcome those who are watching on the live stream, particularly Nick's grandparents. We miss seeing you here in person, and we wish you a speedy recovery. This morning, before we begin our Shabbat morning service, we're going to present Nick with a talit that he's going to wear for the first time as a bar mitzvah, and it's a very special talit, so I'd like to ask his grandmother to come forward. Place it on his shoulders. Come over here, Nick. Oh, that's great. Can you just tell me why this is a special talit?
This is Grandpa Wallace's talit, which Charlotte also wore for her bar mitzvah. All your grandparents love you. So proud of you today.
Nick, there's a blessing special for the talit. As a matter of fact, it's right here on the collar, the Torah of your talit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hitateh b'tzitzit. Amen. Sit there. I'm Rabbi Barry Schwartz, and some of you may remember me from Charlotte's bat mitzvah a number of years ago. Student Cantor Joe Flaxman is joining us, and our accompanist Beth Robin, who was also here for Charlotte's bat mitzvah as well. We welcome you and want to thank Michael Fishbein, who is live streaming the service, the current president of the congregation, who is fulfilling many functions as he usually does. Virginia Gitta is a past president of the congregation, and she happens to be here all the way from Portland, Oregon, for the 150th anniversary celebration of this synagogue. So we're delighted that she is here this morning as well. Our Shabbat morning service begins from this prayer book at your seats, with the traditional words of welcome to the synagogue, Ma Tovu, on page 74. Let's read an opening prayer on page 67 responsively, alternating lines with me. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
That's a different kind of responsive reading. On page 100 is the 150th Psalm, the Hallelujah Psalm. And all you need to know for the chorus is one Hebrew word, Hallelujah. And so as we come back to the chorus of this song, please join in. One of the highlights of our week, as Nick remembers from Sunday mornings, is when the whole religious school, all our students, join in this psalm together. Here comes the chorus. Here we go. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 108. Please rise. Please be seated. This Sabbath is called Shabbat Bereshit, the Sabbath of the beginning, because we're reading the very first Torah portion in the annual cycle of the reading of the Torah. The holidays just ended with Simchat Torah, where we read from the end of the book of Deuteronomy, then the beginning of Genesis, and a little bit later, Nick will be reading from the book of Genesis as well. So we celebrate the creation of the world based on the Torah portion, which speaks of the unfolding in 7 different days, or you might see that as eras or epics. The next prayer speaks of creation as well, and in honor of Bereshit. We don't often read this English interpretation on page 111, but this is a good Sabbath to do so. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. From the world within us to the world outside of us to within us, on page 112, Ahava Rabba Avtanu Adonai Eloheinu, Hemla Gdola V'Terah Hamata Aleinu. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. In the middle of the page, V'Harer Einenu, enlighten our eyes with your Torah.
Veloce
Baruch Ata Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. We join together in the affirmation of our faith, the Shema, page 114.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha V'chol me'odecha Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha Vishnantam levanecha V'nimartam B'shimtecha b'beitecha U'v'lektecha b'derech U'shokvecha u'v'kumecha U'kshatam leot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot b'einecha U'kshatam al mezuzot beitecha U'bisharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'tem kedoshim le'oechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem l'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem
When our ancestors went from slavery to freedom in the Exodus, when they reached the other side, they sang a song of thanks called Mi Chamocha. We still sing that song many thousands of years later. We too cherish and do not take for granted our freedom. Mi Chamocha, page 122. The Amidah prayer that follows, the Tefillah, page 124, links our faith with the faith of our ancestors. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tifta ufia giteilateka. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagimor V'Adorah, El Elyon, Gonel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו מאהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם עזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מקיים הכל אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם מקלקל חיים בחסד, מקיים הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך Geborot, umino melach, belech memit umekaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, bnei manat halakayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mekaye hakol.
Please be seated. On page 135, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love, we offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. The next page, page 136, is the beautiful Sabbath melody, Ritzeh. There's another reading especially appropriate for this Sabbath of creation on page 139, and we'll read it responsively by paragraph, but we'll all join together in 3 Hebrew words, which is the refrain for this reading. Modim means thanks, anachnu is us, we, and lach is to you, we give thanks to you. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imagination, modim anachnu lach. Your turn. Congregation.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, modim anachnu lach.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, modim anachnu lach.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, modim anachnu lach.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, modim anachnu lach.
for human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim anachnu lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. This section of prayer ends with the prayer of peace, sim shalom, on page 140. It's customary to pause for a moment of our own silent prayer or reflection. On this Sabbath of creation, I would pose the question, what is something that you would like to create? I'm not talking about a material thing. I'm talking about something spiritual and elevating that would contribute to your family or to a community. Let's think about that thought silently, and then we'll sing another song of peace. We're ready now for Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of the Torah. When we bring out the Torah scroll, we'll be bringing out our smallest scroll. This is the Torah scroll that we use for the Hakafah, the procession at every bar and bat mitzvah, at every holiday, and then we'll be switching to a different Torah for the reading of the portion. The reason we use this smaller Torah is because it is a Holocaust scroll. It is a Torah that was saved from a small community in Czechoslovakia. The community did not survive. The Torah scroll, like many others, was brought to London after the war, and from there was distributed to different congregations around the world. It's an affirmation of our faith and our heritage every time we parade with this Torah scroll. For the reading of the Torah, page 244, please rise.
En kamocha Elohim Adonai, ven kemasecha, malchutecha, malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha mikol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai miRushalayim. Torah
seated. It may be a little bit hard for you to see, but the Torah is completely wound to the beginning of the scroll. As I mentioned last week at the last of the big fall holidays, Simchat Torah, we read from the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and then we immediately begin once again Bereshit, in the beginning. So these are the very first lines that speak about the creation of the universe. They make their way through the different stages of creation, and then according to the ancient story, the last aspect of creation, which is described as Tov Ma'od, which is very good, is the creation of the human being uniquely in God's image. I happen to be mentioning to my confirmation class this past Sunday that we may take this thought for granted, but in its time it was rather revolutionary. The fact that every human being is created in God's image means that there's a basic equality between all people. While every person is unique, every person has inherent human dignity being created in God's image. But what exactly does that mean? There's many range of meanings, but Genesis, Bereshit, suggests that our moral discernment, our ability to distinguish between good and evil, is one of the things that makes us uniquely human. You know, when your cat or dog does something that you don't like, they may be acting badly, that's what we would say, but in fact, they're not deliberately choosing between good and evil, I think. That is something that human beings have the ability to do, and Genesis ascribes that to something basic in our creation itself. Yamod Harishon Yehudit Bat Avraham Malia Bat David Miriam. We call forward the first Aliyah to the Torah, Judy and Charlotte. Oh no, this is here. Oops. Baruch Adonai HaMivarach Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Le'am Borach Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mechol ha'amim. Yanatan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Bereshit barach Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'haaretz hayta tov vevohu ve'choshe al pnei tehom ve'ruach Elohim merechef bet al pnei hamayim v'yomer Elohim yehi or v'hi or.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah echmer, v'chaye olam natan b'toivenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
You have to congratulate them. Grandma, give a hug. Are you allowed to hug?
Oh, yes. My boy.
And what about your sister? Thank you. Ya'amod Hasheni David Rachel bat Reuven Yudit. We call forward the second Aliyah to the Torah, Rachel and Jeff.
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu HaTorah.
Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov, vayvdel Elohim vein haor uvein hachoshech. Vayikra Elohim leor yom, velachoshech karach laila. Vayierev vayivoker yom echad. Vayomer Elohim yehi rakia betoch hamayim, vehi mavdil b'mayim lamayim.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tokohenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach.
Hold on. Gotta call you.
All right.
Ya'amod Hashlishi, Nico ben David Rachel. We call forward the third Aliyah to the Torah, Nicholas.
Baruch et Adonai HaVarach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaVarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vaya as Elohim et harakia, vayvdel bein hamayim asher mitachat larakia, uvein hamayim asher me'al larakia, vaychichen, vayikra Elohim larakia shamayim, vayierev vayivoker yom sheni. Vayomer Elohim yikavu hamayim mitachat hashamayim amakom echad v'tor'eh hayabasha vaychichen. Oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
You can sit down for a second. While the Torah is before us, it is customary to now offer the Mishaberach prayer of healing. And so this morning we ask you to call to mind all those of your loved ones in need of healing, beginning with Marcy and Erwin, and extending out to all those in need of healing as we join with the Cantor in the healing prayer.
Oh the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
As we hold the Torah high and as we wrap and hold the Torah, would you please rise?
Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe al shlosha devarim.
Please be seated. Each reading from the Torah has a supplemental reading from the second part of the Hebrew Bible, from the prophets, called the Haftarah. This morning, the Haftarah is taken from the great prophet Isaiah. Isaiah happens to reference the creation of the world, so the rabbi saw the connection there. But this passage from Isaiah also contains the famous verse, you might say the mission statement of the Jewish people, to be a light to the nations, a covenant people and a light to the nations. Nick will be chanting the opening Haftarah blessing, that famous verse that I just referenced in English, and then the closing Haftarah blessing. Nice and slow, and Cantor will help you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'invi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek. I, the Lord, in my grace, have summoned you, and I have grasped you by the hand. I created you and appointed you, a covenant people, a light of nations, opening eyes deprived of light, rescuing prisoners from confinement. From the dungeons, those who sit in darkness, I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another, nor my renown to idols. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Surko ha'olamim, Sedik bekol hadarot, Ha'el hene'eman, Ha'omer ve'oseh, Hamdaber umkayem, Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al haneve'im, ve'al yom hashabbat hazeh, shana tatalanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha ve'limnucha, likavod ultifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim la, umvarhim otaha, yiparashim kai bifi kol kai, tamid leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Mazal tov. Good. Mazal tov. Great job.
We're ready to return the Torah scroll to the Ark. We turn back in our prayer book to page 256 as we open the Ark once more. Please rise.
Yahalelu et Shem Adonai ki nitzgav Shemo levado.
Please be seated. We ask every bar and bat mitzvah student not only to chant from the Torah and the Haftarah, but also to study with us and to wrestle with the meaning of their Torah portion and to write a short commentary on it called a Devar Torah. So I'd like to call Nick forward to share his lessons about Genesis with us. We did have a series of interesting conversations, which I think are reflected in his comments this morning. Yes. You want it up here or down below? Okay, good. Nice and slow, remember, slow and loud.
My Torah portion is the very first portion of the entire Torah. There are 4 stories in this portion. The first is about the creation of the world. The second is about the creation of us, human beings, in the image of God. The third story is about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. The last story is about Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve's sons. The rabbi told me that with all these big stories, I had to choose one to talk about. I chose the story of Adam and Eve because it was the most interesting to me. Adam is the first human. Adam is told to name all the animals by God. God noticed Adam was very lonely, so God created another human. Adam named this human just like he did with all the other animals. Adam named this human Eve. Adam loved Eve, and they were really nice together. They were told by God they had freedom except for one rule. Don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. Then the snake came along and convinced Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, and she did. I mean, who listens to a snake? But nothing bad happened. So Eve told Adam, and Adam decided to eat from the tree. No sooner did this happen than Adam and Eve heard God's voice trying to find them. So they hid in a bush. God is looking for them and says, "Where are you?" Adam responds that we are hiding. God says, "Come out." So they did. They came out, and God asked, "Did you eat from the tree of knowledge?" They admit, yes. God is not happy. This was God's one rule. I would be really mad too. God banished them from the garden. As I said, why would someone listen to a snake? Why do we listen to bad advice? I understand that Adam and Eve did something by disobeying. What is interesting is, why did they do it? Was it peer pressure? Was it that they were just hungry? Was it because this was the one rule and they felt entitled to break it? Don't we all have the urge to break a rule? Human nature is just really unpredictable. I also found it very interesting that God was disappointed and even angry. God still listened to Adam and Eve and cared about them. God clothed them in fig leaves and stayed in relationship with them even after they left the garden. Adam and Eve were banished, but the punishment was not only that they would be banished forever from the garden, but also that God made them mortal, being able to die. This story teaches us that humans are unique. We know right from wrong, but we are very smart and very dumb at the same time. It takes us a long time to grow up. All of us are Adam and Eve. When the rabbi asked me if I had broken any rules like Adam and Eve, I said obviously yes, because who hasn't? One rule I have broken is when I had 5 people on my trampoline when the max is supposed to be 2. I guess looking back at that, it was not so smart. Another rule that I break is that I'm not supposed to go into my sister's room, but I still do it. I'm not exactly sure why, but it annoys everyone. A rule at school I see broken is that there's no vaping allowed in my school. Yet I see kids vaping in the bathroom all the time. Kids do stuff that their parents don't want them to do, mainly because of the peer pressure of other kids. I think a good life lesson is that you should think before you do. What are the consequences? Will you hurt yourself or someone else? Adam and Eve needed to think some more, and so do we. Now I want to give some thanks to the people in my life. Thank you, Mom, for making breakfast and for caring for me and being there for me. Thank you, Dad, for always spending time with me, watching movies even when you don't like them, and also being there for me. Thank you, Charlotte, for being my friend most of the time, and thank you for not letting me be in your room. Thank you, Courtney and Steve, for being my siblings and always being kind. Thank you to my grandparents for raising me and my cousins and siblings. Thank you, aunts and uncles, for being a part of my family and for being accepting. I also want to thank everybody at Hebrew School for helping along the way to becoming a man. That includes the Rabbi, Cantor, and my teachers. I've learned so much over the years at Hebrew School. First of all, I've learned how to read Hebrew, which is certainly useful for my bar mitzvah. I've learned about all the Jewish holidays. My favorite holiday is probably Hanukkah, and you probably know the reason. Yes, I do get a lot of presents. It's basically the Hebrew Christmas. The rabbi was surprised when I wrote that, but he let me keep it in. I have also learned about many famous people in Jewish history, especially in the Torah, such as Abraham and Moses, and of course Adam and Eve. I know that after my bar mitzvah, it is up to me to stay connected to Judaism and the Jewish people. On Shabbat evening, we do have a meal together, but which is not always the case during the week. I look forward to continuing to celebrate the Jewish holidays with my family. That includes Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, and Passover. Shabbat Shalom.
Stay right here. These divrei Torah, these commentary speeches that the students write, they always have an uncanny way of reflecting who the student is. And I think the comments you heard were very much a reflection on Nick. Now, all the hard work that he put into becoming a bar mitzvah was not always easy. And we had the disruption of the pandemic and having to learn by Zoom. And also Nick is the final person in his class, most of whom had their b'nai mitzvah back in the spring. So we admire your perseverance and your accomplishment this morning. Nick, to express our pride in your accomplishment, and we hope you're feeling the pride inside as well, but we'd like to make 3 brief presentations to you. The first is on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the congregation as a whole, and I'd like to call forward Virginia Gitter to offer this.
Where do I go?
Stay right there.
Okay.
And pay attention.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
I don't think you know me, Nick, but I know you. Wow, I did not come all the way out for your bar mitzvah. I came out, but I was happy to hear that it was happening this weekend. I came out for our 150th anniversary weekend, and I moved to Portland 4 years ago. I'm still a member of the synagogue, but that's not the furthest. That's the furthest member we have. But when I first joined this temple, my son was 8 years old, and that was 27 years ago, and we lived in Weehawken. So yeah. Go Weehawken, right? So for 7 years before we moved to Leone, we would get on the turnpike every Sunday morning, sound familiar, and drive him to Hebrew school. And so he had his bar mitzvah here. He's 35 now. And I was on the board shortly thereafter, and we moved to Leonia when he was about 13, so the drive got a little bit shorter. But I loved Weehawken, and I think I remember when you guys joined, and I talked about that. And Charlotte, when was your bat mitzvah?
2 years ago.
How many? 2 years ago? Okay, so I have the photo in my archives and want to put it in the Moments and Memories book. We're doing a Moments and Memories book for our 150th anniversary. I was going through all the photos and I spotted yours. I was getting ready to email your mom and say, can I put it in the book? So, yeah, thank you. And then I have to get one for him. Okay, so anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. You did an amazing, amazing job. I wanted to give you this gift on behalf of the congregation.
Right on top, right there.
Oh, you already took it out, okay. Used to be in the back room. Some things change, you know, I leave and they move things around and whatever. So, anyway, so we are always proud of our B'nai Mitzvah students here. And you did a wonderful job. I loved your speech. I don't think those rules that you've broken are too bad, so if that's the worst that ever happens, you're very lucky, parents. It's not. He just picked the lower level ones, right? Anyway, Kiddush cup with your name on it, the name of the congregation, and today's date, for you to share with your family for those holidays that you enjoy celebrating. So hope you enjoy that and have it as a memento. And also, it's kind of wonderful that you're having your bar mitzvah on our 150th anniversary weekend. It's a big, huge deal. And I don't know if you'll be around tomorrow. We're having an after-school event. I know you might think you're done with school yet, but let me tell you, I thought I was done. I moved 3,000 miles away, and here I am. So they pull you back in. Just want to tell you that. Okay. Shabbat shalom and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay right here, Nick. You know, Virginia mentioned Weehawken. We do have a really special whole group of families that come from Weehawken. And I just was talking to our landscaper the other day, and it turns out that he has a bunch of accounts in Weehawken as well, and has for all these years. And, you know, he said, who are the families, you know, who live in Weehawken? And when I mentioned Guberman, he said, Guberman, oh, I know that family as well. So, yes, that's right. That's correct. That's correct. So. Wow.
And I'm the one who brought him to Leone.
He told me that.
To the temple.
He told me that.
Talked to him on the phone. That's how far back we go. Yeah.
So we're very proud of our Weehawken connection here in Leonia. I'd like to ask now, Nick, your parents to come forward to share some of their words at your bar mitzvah.
I did not need glasses at Charlotte's. Sunrise, sunset. When Nick was born, we thought he was the cutest little boy we'd ever seen. His big blue eyes at the time, blonde hair that grew into curls, and his mischievous smile. The constant puking didn't ruin how wonderful he was. He's grown up to be just as wonderful, minus some of the puke, not all. As a child, he loved to have fun with his sister, painting the floor with suntan lotion so they could go ice skating, and playing Chachi 5 minutes when they would run around the house before bath time with or without clothes, singing The Little Mermaid at the top of his lungs when he went to bed. He was a constant source of joy and entertainment, and still is. His passion for the things he loves is so fun to watch, whether it's basketball, building things, video games, going to scary movies, going to the gun range with his dad. That last one's a bit iffy for me, but okay. I love listening to him with his friends, too, and seeing and hearing them appreciate the kindness Nick shows to those in his life. Also, that same energy for fun and joy, and a lot of swearing. He and I share the same sense of humor and have multiple inside jokes that always crack us up. I am blessed to have 2 children that I like as well as love, and it has ever been that way. 2 children in my home. I have a third, who's also funny. I must admit, getting here was a bit of an anxious ride. Nick was concerned about memorizing his Torah portion. As with everything, Nick put his mind to it and did it. This is the kid who memorized 25 decimals of pi for no reason. How many? 100 decimals of pi. His intelligence is astounding to his dad and me. We find ourselves stumped with some of the questions on long car rides. He's been doing that since he was a small child, and I suspect he will be asking tough and thoughtful questions his whole life. Good luck to whomever you marry. I hope they have Google at the ready. What impresses me most about Nick is who he is on the inside. He has tremendous capacity for empathy and kindness, for stopping to see the cats he named around our neighborhood and asking, "Can I pet your dog?" to every single person he sees. He won't bully other kids and feels bad when others do. Last year, he heard a child talking about suicide and immediately told the teacher, having experienced such a tremendous loss so close to his heart. I love when we are walking and he puts his arm around me or lets me hold his hand, even for a brief second. And the few times a year when he lets me walk him to school are so precious. Don't grow up too fast, little boy. We love you so much, and mazel tov on your bar mitzvah.
Hi, baby. I'm so proud of you. These last 2 weeks, you worked so hard to get here. And I know that you did this for me, and I'm really grateful for it. One day, I hope that you see that this was also for you. We sat here with the rabbi on Wednesday, and we were all concerned that you wouldn't be able to complete this. But today, you made us all so proud. I've never been short on things to be proud of you for. According to the Jewish religion, you're a man today. But you still feel like my baby. When we walk together, every now and then you grab my hand, and it's my favorite. And I hope you never stop holding my hand. He did it on Monday night. It was awesome.
Did I?
Yes, you did. When we wrestle, every day you get closer to beating me, and I get more and more excited. You're not there yet, though. I see you getting more mature, smarter, stronger, and a man whose stubbornness has grown into confidence and determination. You have the potential, with a lot of hard work, to be a great man. My eyes are up here. I will be proud of you whatever happens. But I'm so excited to see the pride in your own face when you accomplish amazing things. I wish for you a lifetime of pride in your achievements. When you care about something, you throw your heart and your soul into it. I will never forget watching you learn the Rubik's Cube. You would watch videos and then replicate the actions until you could solve a Rubik's Cube in seconds. When you believed in yourself, nothing could stop you. So always believe in yourself and nothing can ever stop you. I'm so proud that you are such a good person. You are kind and caring. You worry about other people and especially animals. Animals can always spot kind people, and animals have always loved you. We now have a porch full of feral cats to prove this. Yeah, that's right. I hope you never lose the warmth in your soul. We can all feel it. Rabbi, thank you for your support for our family for all of these years. It was really important to all of us, and especially to my parents, and I think to Judy, that we were involved in a Jewish community. And after many years of heartache, I think we all owed you guys, so this is payback. And just thank you for welcoming us into your community and helping Nikki and Charlotte learn about their heritage. Nikki, one final thing I'm proud of. This is the longest you've ever gone without cursing. So 13 years after you came into my life, I can still see your face and my heart melts. Thank you for being our son. I love you with all my heart. Rabbi, if I can, I've got one more to read from my dad.
Sure.
So this is from Pops. So, my darling Nikki, congratulations on reaching this major step in becoming an adult. This step is far more meaningful than you can imagine now. It represents carrying on a tradition that is over 5,000 years old and doing your part to preserve Judaism to the next generation. You might not have studied such subjects as the Holocaust in school, but over 6 million Jews were killed in Europe during World War II just because they were Jewish. That usually leads us to say we should deny or ignore the fact that we are Jewish, or that we should be proud that our people survived, and that we still do whatever is necessary to keep Judaism alive for the future. I have chosen to keep Judaism alive. Your father, uncle, cousins have also chosen to keep it alive. The choice is yours. You are now old enough to make this decision. It requires you to never deny your heritage, never hold back when your background is questioned, and hold a certain affection and love for your Jewish nation. You may find, especially as you get older and have a family of your own, that some of the traditions such as holiday dinners and Hanukkah gifts are meaningful to you, and you may want to continue those traditions. That again is up to you. Whatever you decide, always know how much we love you and how proud we are of you. Always look to make your family proud, but more important, always look to make yourself proud. Love, Pops.
Almost done. Nick, after the beautiful words of your parents, I offer this final presentation. First, just to make sure that you don't forget this day, one additional aid is this certificate of bar mitzvah. And you have indeed earned it now with pride. Nick, there are a couple of lines from your Devar Torah that stood out for me. One is how people can be so smart and so dumb at the same time. And it goes back to the fact that people always have choices. Sometimes we and you in the future will not make the best choice. You'll recognize that. You'll seek to correct it. You said earlier if people would just stop for a minute, think a little bit more about what they're doing. But I want to tell you something. If you go to the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican in Italy, one of the greatest rooms ever created, and Michelangelo, the famous artist, he drew the incredible ceiling. So there's a picture of Adam and Eve, and in between them, the snake. But guess what? The snake has human form. So think about the fact that you'll be confronted by snake-like individuals, who may give you bad advice, may give you good advice, but Genesis, your portion, teaches we have the choice to think about it, to know right from wrong, and to choose the path of blessing rather than the path of curse. It's a basic lesson, but it's one that comes from your Torah portion that you will have always. Speaking about the path of blessing, we'd like to offer now, as we do for all bar and bar mitzvah students at this auspicious time, the most ancient blessing of our people. This is the blessing that Aaron, the brother of Moses, spoke to the Israelite people. It's also recorded in the Torah. It's called Birkat Shalom, the blessing of peace. So if you would stand with me before the ark. Over here, face me. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. May God shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show you kindness and grant you peace. Amen. We remain standing for the Aleinu prayer, the bottom of page 282.
Hallelujah. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת כרולם יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים יוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ביד היום מהשמות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we now call to mind those of our loved ones no longer with us. For all those close to our hearts, and for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alama divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayekon u'yomekon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam olamei alaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shmei d'kedusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlam Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. Our closing song can be found on page 321, Adon Olam. That will be followed by the closing benediction and the end of our service.
Oh
At this time of joy, we give thanks to God, our source of joy, by singing the Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lezman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lezman hazeh. In honor of Nick, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Yehelanu. Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Yehelanu. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, kol lekol Yisrael. 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 Shabbat Shalom.